The following podcast contains opinions which are intangible and pose no threat to your safety. It also contains spoilers, which are very real and may harm your viewing experience. You've been warned. I got some tricks up my sleeve, I suppose.
Yeah,
not many, but
good to know you still got some life left in you.
it's barely. It's trying. It's trying its damnedest to break through, but
it's funny that the thing that can most easily take the life out of you is in fact life.
That is exactly how that works. Life. The point of life is to die. So.
Yeesh.
It's spooky.
Fitting.
Yeah, a little bit. You think,
nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Say no more. Say no more.
Oh, crap. I don't know what we're calling this. What are we calling this? Let's just do it on the spot. Fuck it. We're doing it live.
Oh, I thought it was just the month of spoops.
That's why I didn't know if it was... See, I didn't want to use the word spoopy because it's like overused.
Yeah,
I was going to do like
overused.
spooktacular.
Okay.
I was thinking spooktacular would be okay.
Hold on.
Not in love with it? Okay.
It's fine. It's good. And I'm just... If there's anything else I want to throw on the table, I'm trying to come up with it.
Yeah, I think
it.
It's either going to be spooktacular or spook-aganza. Because who uses ganza anymore? Like nobody.
Ex-Spook-aganza.
Ex-Spook-aganza. Ooh, that sounds
I like that,
awful.
despite how trip over yourself it is.
It's the Ex-Spook-aganza. I think we should do it just to be like trailblazers, right?
Just to put our flag in the dirt.
Yeah, exactly. You can't take that from us. So
That's
welcome
true.
everybody to the Ex-Spook-aganza.
The first episode of the Ex-Spook-aganza.
Fan freaking tastic.
Oh, it's awesomely bad.
I love it. I think it's gonna be great. Mm-hmm.
I certainly hope so. Otherwise, what are we here for?
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I'm here just to hang out with my good buddy Cam.
Oh, God, you're so pure.
I try.
I have such a hard time feeling bad when you're in my ear.
That is, all right.
Take that however you would like.
Well,
man,
anyway.
This is a weird recording during the day. I just feel so much more fresh and spry.
Do you? I feel the exact opposite. I feel like...
Well, you're a night owl.
Yeah, I am very much a night owl, and I'm trying my hardest to be on right now, but, I feel like I'm just lacking... I feel like all my punches have half their strength.
Yeah. Oh man, maybe you're dreaming. That always happens to me in dreams.
Oh, don't. Okay,
You
okay.
a fight in a dream.
Let's be real. If we're gonna talk about spooky shit, dude, every nightmare I always have is always that, right? Where it's I need to punch or I need to kick or I need to run, but I'm going through water, right? It feels like everything is just super slow and all my punches land with the force of a feather.
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, it's awful.
Or it feels like they're always giving you the Muhammad Ali or Bruce Lee flow like water thing, right? You punch and they're just a little quicker and they dodge out of the way.
Yeah,
and it's just it's so unfulfilling.
I definitely get that, where it feels like I have sandbags tied around myself. I just too slow. That's some good nightmare fuel. Want to get into the psyches of your co-hosts? Whee!
Yeah. Do you have other co-hosts I need to know about?
I have all the co-hosts. I have you, and then there's also you.
Yeah, those other two guys.
Those are the two guys. I don't know. I think that's supposed to mean not that in the interpretation of dreams is a hard science, but I believe the idea is that it's the lack of control you have. It's just your insecurities playing up on you.
I also think it's I think it's, again, I have no scientific basis to back this up, so I could just be blowing smoke. But I think it's your brain realizes that is an opportunity where you would be able to feel a shock that might wake you up. And so I think your brain sort of stops that from manifesting itself and doesn't so you can continue to sleep or something.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that happens too. But it's weird though, because like sometimes like I'll get stabbed and shit. Like I'll have a blade go like right through my sternum. And
well,
it's like
my theory pretty much falls apart, doesn't it?
No, because like there's definitely like an essence to that. Like, because I know like whenever I like fall and land, I like it's just I'm falling and then all of a sudden I'm on the ground, right? Like the impact is never there.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Which makes sense, but like when I get stabbed, it's like, oh yeah, I'm watching this blade slide right through me. Like, why the fuck, like brain, can you not like? Yeah. And sometimes I'm lucky enough to wake up before it. Other times, not so much. Whatever. This ain't no dream analysis podcast. Nuh-uh. This is Bits, Chips, and Flip Scripts. Ooh.
You'll have to forgive us for cutting down on the normal amount of bullshit before the intro.
I mean, we could still bullshit. We could bullshit all day if we wanted to.
That's true. We're not going to because we're men of action.
Yes, action, and we also have like limited time to do things.
Yes. So let's get right to it. It's Butterfly Effect in gaming.
You bet, absolutely. And we're doing something a little extra spooky for the month of what do we call it already?
The Ex-Spook-aganza.
Ex-Spook-aganza.
We're gonna have to say that a few more times to really
cement
it.
It's got to sort of resonate. It's got to solidify. Anyway.
Yeah, folks, we pulled it out of the stops for this one.
Heck yeah.
I put the most, by a factor of about 1,000, I put the most effort into this episode compared to all the other ones so far.
Well, I certainly appreciate all your help, Cam. It was good times.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun learning experience.
Gameplay! Alright. So yeah.
I'm gonna have some key points to make about this.
Are you supposed to move it?
I don't. Like that was the whole thing. Is I've been moving these around trying to like do something with them. Like that's the only thing that's responded to anything. It's really fucking inconsistent though. And I like thought I was supposed to get in the rafters, but I don't think that's the case anymore. It's really taking me out of the fucking...
Right, like... Ooh, spooky. Yeah. Click, 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 click.
It's the spookiest clicks you've ever heard. Push the pieces away from the door. Thank you! That's not helpful. That's what I've been doing.
Alright, let me take a crack at it.
Please. I'm losing my fucking shit. So if you have it...
Cameron, are you an idiot?
What are you doing? What button are you pressing?
You grab it and then you move your body.
That's what I was doing. You click and hold and then...
You press WSD.
Seriously?
Yes. You dingbat.
I'm calling that bullshit.
You've been doing...
What game makes you pick things up and move with them that way?
Every point-and-click adventure ever.
I'm punishing you. You get to play now.
Oh, all right.
Okay, like, look, you move the mouse and it doesn't move. I don't, like, expect that, I need to walk now. Like, it's like, you can't fucking move it.
Cameron, if you click something and it doesn't work this way, then you're like, what else can I do? What other implements can I put in? Oh, I can do this. Oh, look!
Okay, well, also, it's misleading because they're like, if it doesn't move, use the right mouse button. And then you try using the right mouse button and nothing fucking happens.
Did the game tell you that?
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't know. All right. Okay.
To answer whatever fucking question it was you just asked, yes, I am whatever. Stupid or dumb. I shouldn't have told you. Insulting my intelligence like that. Justified as it may have been.
It's all good. What is this? So we got...
Dingus. It brought us closer as friends and co-hosts.
It did. I feel like you're my Sam Scamgee now. You're my Samwise.
Sam Scamgee. Hey kid, how'd you like to buy a ring? I'm Sam Scamgee.
I'm Sam Scamgee. Hey kids, Mr. Frodo, come on in.
Just make sure you do it behind this bush. Wouldn't want the fuzz to see ya.
All right. Anyway, I couldn't remember his name for some reason. I don't know why.
We got there.
We did get there. And speaking of getting there, we also... I got no segue for this. We did Amnesia. We played Amnesia.
We did an Amnesia.
Folks. We did an Amnesia Dark Descent.
And may I say, about halfway through sniffing all that rubber cement, I was like, this is a bad idea. But then I woke up and I was like, who am I? And
who am I? What is this?
It was all worth it.
I had to remind you constantly. I don't know who I am. You're Cam.
I just wanted it to be
are
an authentic
Cam.
experience.
Dope. Alrighty.
You're a dope.
Just call me
Moving
dope,
on.
or you said I am dope?
Whatever people hear what they want, man.
Anyway. Yeah, this game has a very special place in my heart.
That's good, because I came in fresh, and no, it didn't suck.
you had your issues with it. Don't lie. There were
Overall, it was an enjoyable experience. I will say that right up front.
Oh, well, I'm glad that happened at least.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. I feel like we, just by virtue of the fact that we, make everything that we do, we end up picking a lot of games that some combination of the two, but more often than not, it's a game that I personally have some amount of fondness for whatever reason.
Sure.
So it was kind of nice to come in fresh. This, literally is the first game we've played that I had never played before we recorded.
Oh, nice. Okay, so it is a first. Hurrah! That's awesome.
Or before we played it, I should say.
Right. I mean, I'll be real. It was nice to play this game because I hadn't played it since maybe it first came out back in 2013 or whatever.
2010, I think.
2010. It was old. A while ago. For sure. I remember it was post high school though. But anyway, this game is one of the very first things to ever actually frighten me, right? So media, I have a hard time, and I'm sure you folks have figured it out by now, but I have a very meta view of things, right? I'm all about what goes into making it and how all the mechanics about things. So horror has been awful. Horror is this kind of the worst genre for someone like me. I'm every movie I watch, I'm just sitting there and I'm just picking it apart, and it's not going to fear me because there's no real inherent threat, I suppose, is what I'm looking for. And I'm also the guy who goes to I'll go to haunted houses, and some guy will come up and be like, Blair, and I'll be like, oh, that's a cool mask. I'm just looking at the
you are the worst type
costume
of person.
design. I know there's a special place in hell for people like me. I'm aware.
Jeez, man. Yes, please allow me to come pay money and just poke holes in everything you're doing.
That's what I do. That's literally what I do, though.
And they can't even be mad because you did pay for the privilege. So it's just the worst, man. There's nowhere for them to go with that.
I actually, dude, I dated someone who worked in a haunted house for a long time. And that was
you
a
dated
point.
them for a long time, or they worked in a haunted house for a long time?
Both, I guess.
There you go. Go on.
But a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Hey.
But yeah, so they would often be like, why are you even coming in here? Why are you giving us money to stand around? I'm like, well, I want to see because I've worked on drama or in drama stuff back in school. So I've seen how the people create props and stuff, and that's cool to me. That's especially as an illustrator, it's crafts and things aren't something I really get into, so they really interest me a lot.
Jeez, it's like an episode of The World's Happiest Saddest Man. You go in to this haunted house, you're not scared, so you're happy about it, and you're happy about the high level of craftsmanship they put into their costumes and their masks and their props and stuff. But then you get chastised for it, so you go home and you cry yourself to sleep.
That's exactly my life. I'm a complex man who's always sad.
Yikes!
Yikes! But yeah, so...
Good thing we're not a dream analysis podcast. I don't even want to get into that.
Listen, I've got how many years of psychology under my belt right now? I get it. I know I messed up. Anyway. Yeah, so media never has really been one to, scare me. This game was great because of its subtlety, at least at the time. I'm full disclosure, playing it again was great because I sort of realized, what worked on me before didn't work on me again, right? I already knew what was coming for the most part. Give or take a few surprises. I do not want to shit myself.
Oh, I have a new aim.
There's something that's more unsettling about it that I can't hear the things going on. Because, like, for you, this is like, oh, yeah, like, there's music and there's, like, noises and stuff. For me, it's just my dark, silent basement. So, like, it's kind of worse, actually.
Why don't, like, can we not find a way to have it so we can both hear it?
Oh, no. I'm enjoying it. It's fine.
Okay. I would prefer that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Just don't look behind you. Okay. You'll be fine.
Shit.
Okay. He's right behind you.
So what do I do?
You have to hide. You have to hide.
I don't know how to do that.
Oh, he's gone. Okay, you're good. Is there a monster there? Look up. Okay, no, you're good. Okay, so just...
You're making it worse.
No, I have nowhere to go. I have nowhere to go. It's fine. Just crouch. It's fine. It's a scary boy. It's fine. It's a scary boy. Oh my god. I think he's just...
Oh, wait. There's a hole in the door.
There's a hole in the door!
Oh, shit. You gotta get out of here, dude.
Oh, crap. Look at all these body parts, though.
Oh, good. We're replete with them. It makes me feel so much safer that there's all these dead people parts. Oh, wow.
What's creepy?
Oh, my god. I don't like any of this.
What's so creepy about it? You don't like this centipede baby barfing at you?
Barfing onto legs?
Barfing? I believe it's a...
Like a mannequin? I think it's a dead-ass person.
Look at this baby.
No. I don't want to.
Look at its cute centipede body and its angel wings.
Giger.
No! Why? That's fine. It's cool. I don't have any fucking oil. Can you not?
Just for a fucking second.
Nope, he's... okay. He's gonna do that. That's fine. And there's one in here, too. Isn't that great? Isn't that fucking fantastic?
Ah! Oh, got me. It got me so good.
Dude, you got me, though. I didn't expect you
What do you even fucking do?
You just... Oh, he's running at me. I don't know where he is, though.
Oh! I gotcha. I can't tell if I'm screaming at the thing or at you screaming.
But for like the most part, it wasn't the same kind of fear, right? When I first played this game, something about a monster that only appears like at the corner of your eye, always leaving you to like turn around and look away. Yeah, there are moments where like it chases you and stuff, but for the most part, like you're walking down a hallway and it's like, oh, it spawns in the corner of your eye. You turn around to see it and it's not there anymore because it already went down the hallway. And
absolutely, yeah. And then like, to that point, I think there were more times when I thought I saw a monster and it wasn't.
Absolutely.
I actually saw one. There was that time we were looking sort of down these stairs, like far off into the distance through a doorway. There was like a weird illuminated portion that looked like a monster. And then, so we had to like inch closer, like on the edge of our seats and find out like, oh no, it's like a bucket and some stone.
just a sack of potatoes. I love that. That subtlety really hits me because it plays with the part of my brain that's all about like the thinking, right? Like it's my imagination. Mm-hmm. So when I leave the game and I go back into the real world, after I break the immersion, like that part of my brain is still active. So I'm like, I was still like turning corners and stuff, wondering like hearing noises and being like, what is this or what is that? That was cool. I did not get that effect this time. I am a older and wiser Bam. So, but it's a reason I really praise this game, because playing it again, I realized like the game mechanics for what would you call this? An adventure puzzle game?
Yeah,
like point and click adventure, I guess. Yeah, it's pretty
strip
point
all the
and click.
horror elements out. That's what you're left with.
Yeah, it's not as what's the word am I looking for? It's just not as
I don't know, visceral
fruitful.
Or
no, like it doesn't. It's not like the gameplay isn't deep, right?
No,
I don't want to say that. And I'm struggling.
No, don't get me. I'm with you, and just to add on, I don't mean to cut you off, but like it's remarkable because like there's like not a lot to this game. It's pretty no frills about its pretty much everything. I mean, yeah, they obviously put a lot into the sound design and the putting the creepy piano stings in the background.
Oh, absolutely,
and all that stuff. But when it comes down to it, like there's not a lot of it. It's a very lean type of experience, and also that it does kind of show its cracks in some of the gameplay elements and some of the, I mean, even the environment, like while conducive to the atmosphere that they're trying to create, is kind of boring, right? It's very samey.
Yeah, it's
but that and the point I'm trying to make is like with all that in mind, it's remarkable how effective this game is at what it sets out to do.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you put a good, you said lean, and it made me think of, this game is like a steak. It doesn't have a lot. It's like a good steak too. Like there's not a lot of fat to it. Like it's just there, but like, you've had steak once, you've had steak before. You know what I'm saying? Like you had it before,
and you just want to keep having it. No, I getcha.
No, like without like the addition of a sauce or something. Like it's just there. And there's definitely something to be said about that, but I expected more from it this second time, and then I realized it is what it is, and it doesn't really strive past that.
But here's the thing: it doesn't have to be what it is.
We
have the power to make it elsewise. That's not a word.
That was awesome. You're absolutely right. This podcast is all about the butterfly effect. So, but before we get into that change, let's go ahead and discuss the narrative a little bit, shall we?
So you are... I'll start, you finish. You're this...
Sorry. I just took that in the most sexual manner ever, and I have no idea why. Continue.
I wish I could take credit for that. So you are just some guy. I mean, really, like, all you know about yourself is man of roughly 5.5 to 6 feet of height. You sort of... The opening scene is you sort of stumbling through the halls of this castle. You never actually... Like, there's not a specific point where you enter it. You're just sort of already there. Right. And you're sort of lurching down the hallways and mumbling to yourself and trying to... It sounds like you're trying to hold on to your name. Your name is Daniel. And it really... That's important to the character. The underlying... It's right in the game title. You have amnesia. So that's pretty much all you seem to know about yourself. And what you're doing, that you wake up in this castle, you find a note seemingly written to you by yourself, saying, I know this is harsh. Yeah, I know this is harsh, but you need to find the head of the household, Alexander, in the inner sanctum, and you need to kill him. So from there, you kind of just have to find your way through this. Is that technically Victorian era? It's like the mid 1800s.
No. It's a Oh, no, you're right. It is Victorian era. Yeah. So what you discover that, like, you start finding notes along the way through this. It's a Prussian castle, right? So it's medieval, but like you're a part of newer times, I guess, is the idea, right? Like there's alchemy involved, and like there are sciences, although they are the sciences of the time, so they're not like the best. But you find out that it is the summer of 1893. And
that's later than I thought.
Yeah, and a lot of the notes you find hint at things that happened prior to this year. So most things take place within the 1890s, and then from there you just sort of I guess you just wander through the castle, right? Yourself warns you that's so weird. Prior Daniel warns later Daniel that there is to beware a shadow that is hunting you, and I suppose this shadow sort of manifests itself in like this gross red fleshy fungus that just sort of spreads across the castle as you progress into it.
Super gross.
It is absolutely gross. It is like, it kind of reminds me of like the fungus in the Mario Brothers movie.
I have not seen that.
You are one of the lucky few. But yeah, it's just gross, and it like spreads and like it hurts you.
Although sometimes it doesn't. That was confusing.
It is a little confusing. Just a little bit. But anyway, so you make your way through the castle, finding more notes and trying to avoid the gross-ass red fleshy material, as well as avoiding what are called gatherers, these monsters that sort of lurk in the shadows. And then while trying to keep your sanity. Kind of Eldritch Horror, like, right? The more you stare at these monsters, the more insane you go. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It does a nice job of sort of what's what I'm looking for? Going against but more so like subverting. There we go. Subverting that the sort of trappings of the Eldritch horror genre. Like it doesn't, at least in what we played, I could be wrong, but like it doesn't straight up come out and say like there's this horrible, malevolent, or rather uncaring force that's imposing its influence over the area. It's kind of just like, hey, this could all be a dream. Like right. It's almost, the Eldritch horror does not beget the insanity. It's the other way around, which seems like such an easy way to like change things up. But I can't honestly think of any other like real examples of that other than this.
No, that's a beautiful way to put it too. Like you're right. That seems so simple, but I honestly, I feel like it's maybe not unique to this game, but it certainly is. This is the only game I've experienced that does that.
Yeah.
The other one I can think of is like, there's another game that messes with your sanity, and I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that while we were playing.
Yeah. I can't remember.
We never did come to an agreement.
But I don't remember doing it in such a way like this game does. I definitely, because I played that game before, and like I mentioned, this game had like a definite more solid, like there was a more solid experience I had with it. Mm-hmm. So I think this game definitely did that better. But anyway, so back to the story. So you're going through this castle. Eventually, as you solve puzzle after puzzle and make your way further into the dungeons of the castle, you learn that the Baron, or Alexander, is not of this realm, and is actually a being from another dimension, and has been using you to help him get back home through a process of torturing others to perform some kind of like wicked alchemy. He uses the torturing of people to extend his life while he searches for what are these orbs that he can use to basically like unlock a portal, almost like a key to a door, a doorway back into his dimension so that he can leave. So basically you realize that you, Daniel, are a piece of shit, and you've been killing and torturing people ever since you found this orb and brought it to Alexander. As you go further into the dungeon, you meet Agrippa, who is another I don't know if it's clearly established. I think he's another being from the world. I probably should have looked that up. But either way, you take his head, and he leads you to where Alexander is and where he's building the portal. And from there, you're able to take 3 different endings. You can either choose to let Alexander get away with what he does, in which case he leaves, and he's like, oh, thank you, like, evil and good, they're concepts of your mortal perception, but trust me, it's not a real thing, don't worry about it. Which is what a villain would try to say, right? Like, the torturing of people, no, it's fine, you're good, don't even worry about it. He just fucking deuces, and then the shadow, which is that gross red shit, comes up and kills you. So that's the bad ending, I guess. And then there's...
Doesn't sound great.
Nope. And then there's another ending where you disrupt these pylons that are making the portal. And as you destroy the pylons, it destroys the portal. The red shadow kills Alexander and leaves you alone for some reason. And then you leave the castle like, I did it! Like, this castle was my purgatory, and it cleansed me of my sins, it did. And now I'm good and proper, and I know I've done some shitty things, but whatever, I'm alive, and I'm gonna make life good again. And then...
You're the best at accents.
Oh, well, thank you. And then, I don't know how to take that ending. I think it's supposed to be like a neutral ending, because you're an asshole. You're definitely a sinful motherfucker. And yet you're still like living. So I feel like the idea is it's triumphant for Daniel, but we as the player don't know how to feel about Daniel because we've learned he's done some really ass backwards things. So then you get the third ending, in which case you let the portal open, and then before Alexander can get into it, you throw Agrippa's head into it. And then the shadow, the red goo, kills you and Alexander. But then you wake up in this other realm where you hear Agrippa's voice, and he's talking to his master, and he's like, this is the one. Like, his time was a waste. Like,
he's a total piece of shit. Just kill him.
Yeah, well, but basically, it's not fair that he had to go through this. Like, if he didn't find the orb, none of this would have happened. He could have been meant for great things. Can we give him that chance? And it's more of like a spiritual, like, oh yeah, this guy got fucked over because of the time that he was in, right? It was all circumstance. If he never found the orb, he never would have gone down this path. It's our fault because we are the beings who brought these orbs to this planet. So maybe there's something we can do to help him. And I like that ending the best, personally. I feel like that's more like, okay, yeah, so Daniel died, but because he was a shithead and he needed to. But now he gets this spiritual redemption that allows him to sort of literally be cleansed, as opposed to before where he just feels like, yeah, like I got away with it. I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
It's a triumph of the soul rather than just of the body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when you're an asshole who's killing and torturing people, I feel like that's the kind of redemption you need.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to like you as a character, I can't just have you be like, well, I killed the bad guy, so I'm good, right? Like, no.
I'll be honest, and I'm not trying to just, like, be a cynical douche for laughs, but, like, those sound like the 3 most boring fucking endings I've ever heard to a game like this.
So here's the thing. This game is all about the journey, because
sure.
I remember getting to the end, and of course, I did the neutral ending, where you just push the pylons over. I didn't think of, because I didn't know, like, I saw, like, I knew if the portal opened, like, he would go into it. So I just thought to myself, oh, like, I didn't think to myself, throw the damn head into the portal, right? So, like, I pushed the pylons over.
Yeah,
and
which we might want to mention for anyone who doesn't know, that Agrippa is in such a state where he's been experimented on by whatever horrible dark magic / science and blurring the lines in between, that he can survive as just a head.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I made mention of this earlier. I don't know, like, I think it's alluded to that he is also a being of the other dimension.
Gotcha.
Which is also partly why he has these immortal abilities as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he does need a tonic to survive as a head. But it's also very, because I don't know if Agrippa is the name. There's a Nordic being where, I mean, we saw this in God of War. Yeah, where he takes the head and carries it around and it talks to him. And it was very much reminiscent of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's like religious context here. I know this game does have a lot of historical context. Because Agrippa, he has a real name, I forget, but he was like an alchemist or some figure, some scientific figure, and then the person he talks about who was his master is also a real life scientific figure.
Gotcha.
So it's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of like history and stuff sprinkled throughout, but it's definitely interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. The point that I was making earlier though is, yeah, so like I knocked the pylons over, I stopped it, and you know, Daniel's like, hey, I did it, I won, you know, like, and it's just like, oh,
I'm the portal boy.
And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And it's just like, yeah, it's over. Here's some credits. And you spend so much time in this game thinking and puzzling and trying not to shit yourself. Like, when it is over, it seems very abrupt. But I don't really know how else you would end this game. I feel like all horror games do this. If you ever played Alone in the Dark, the original Alone in the Dark, not the new remakes that are awful. The original Alone in the Dark, which is actually what Resident Evil is based off of. Well,
yeah, it's like the seminal survival horror game.
Sure, yeah. It definitely has that. It has that same feeling where it's like you kill this ancient evil, and then you just sort of walk out, and he does like a jump in the air, like I did it, and then that's it.
Freeze frame.
It does. It freeze frames. You're right. It does.
That's awesome.
And then there's also or maybe it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert for that game. Just because I feel like I need to, even though no one's gonna play it. So at the end of that game, it has like a very Goosebumps moment where like he leaves, like he gets out of the mansion, he walks into a car, and then the driver turns around and he's a skeleton, and he's like, and then he drives away, and it's pretty great. Anyway,
yes, let's change this game.
Let's change this game. This isn't. We're not talking about Alone in the Dark. This is Amnesia, the Dark Decent. So let's go ahead without further ado. The change we made is that the gatherers in this game, the monsters that hunt you throughout it, are actually just a butler of the mansion.
So I want to make a quick... I first want to decide sort of our scope here, because
okay.
When we were talking about the idea, I had sort of been like, well, that wouldn't make sense in the context of this, and that wouldn't make sense in the context of this. But it's like, you know, it does sort of, it gets into like what is acceptable and what isn't for the butterfly effect. But
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
in one version of it, we're re-describing things in the context of them being a butler, and the other thing, we're changing them to a butler wholesale and seeing what happens. Which I think is closer to the intent, but I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page with that, because
I did a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. A lot of stuff, it's perception. I feel like I kept a lot. I felt kind of proud because there's a lot of moments where I was keeping the game pretty much the same, where it was like the perception is, oh, this is the monster's a butler, but you don't kind of know it's a butler sort of thing. So with that, it didn't change the game. And then there were aspects where it was like, well, yeah, like this would ultimately change. So I did a little bit of both.
This might end up being more of like a crossfire episode, just setting that up front. Because mine, I mean, I kept a lot of set pieces and a lot of the general like beats the same. Sure. But I think like there's a lot of what my whole premise revolves around is that you kind of do know it's a butler, but like the fact that you like certain things about him still make him sort of a creepy, like omnipresent force. Okay, cool. So I feel like at some point it would be, depending on how often you die, right? Like that's the way I looked at it. So the idea is, this game plays with your sanity, right? Mm-hmm. It's all about how you perceive things. Eventually you'll have bugs crawling on you. You hear clicking and tacking, even though it doesn't exist. So creepy piano playing in the background. Exactly. Was really, that just got to me, man. That stuck with me more than anything else. It's good. It's so good. It's just ambient and it's there. And of course, the sound design is top notch in this game.
Oh, absolutely.
It's way over the top in how good it is.
Your, for some reason, baby laughter that is always there in every horror game.
And is creepy no matter what the situation is. You could be at that child's birthday party and it would be creepy when they start. Okay, that might mean.
I mean, babies, you could be like at a finance meeting. So I'm just saying, babies are terrifying.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, like for example, I'll just go ahead and get my like first change out of the way so you can kind of see how I rolled with it. But the idea is that in line with the game, the butler spawns not when you're directly looking at him.
Sure.
If you're directly looking in an area, it won't spawn. It will spawn at the corner of your eye or around the corner of a corridor.
So but that makes sense because he's a good butler, and
he's really doing out of your way.
Yep.
The idea is he appear like the more insane you are, like the less it appears as a butler. So I'm thinking like you'll see it and it's a shadowy figure, right? Maybe tall and slender.
Okay.
If you catch it. And I was thinking like it grows more intense as you become insane. So like it's the shadowy starts becoming like smoky and gets lankier. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
going full Slenderman by the end.
I mean, pretty much, kind of. I was thinking more along the lines of like Slenderman. I don't know. Like I was thinking like I'm like smoky as almost like demonic.
Sure, like, kind of like the monster from Lost.
That well, not that smoky.
Like quality of the show notwithstanding, like that's clearly what they were going for.
Right. No, exactly. Like I was thinking, and with that too, like when you're insane, it could also be cool for like movement. So like the way the gatherers work in the current game is that they're very much zombified, right? They're hunched over, they're slow. They can run pretty fast, but they're mostly slow, lurking around, hunched and just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like they're growling to themselves. They do, I think they say things. I don't know if that's in the DLC or in the expansion for this game or not, but
I really hope they don't.
I don't think they do. I think in the expansion is when they talk.
Gotcha.
Because they're not actual gatherers; they're something else.
Okay.
Regardless, so I would think it'd be cool, like as you grow more insane and you're looking around and you see this figure in one corner of the hallway, and then you turn around and he's also in that corner of the hallway, and you're like, what the like? So I think that would be fun. But yeah, I feel like after you die to him, you kind of put it together. I would like to not outright just be like, oh yeah, this is your butler.
Okay.
But I want to also see like how you go ahead and make like knowing he's a butler, but still make it creepy.
Yeah. Well, so like, I mean, I did kind of thread the needle, right? Like I tried to like keep it on theme and make it kind of creepy. But on the other hand, like I didn't feel beholden to that idea necessarily. Because to me, and I learned this from just what I do, like it's a semantic difference in and not a syntactic one, which is to say that like the whole like spookiness more informs like the idea whole cloth more so than my execution of it.
Sure.
And in this case, since it's a butler, I should say it does not inform it whatsoever. But again, I did try to put some spooky parts in. But just to draw a nice contrast between like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like,
no,
I want to drive this point home. Like, just to show how different my idea was from yours, my first note was like, our butler needs a name and it can't be Jeeves.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Too, like, I also definitely have like, because this is a podcast where I'm having fun with my buddy. Like, there's a lot of comedic things.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that were like, if we actually put it into the game, it would probably ruin it a little bit. But anyway,
sure.
So we need to decide what is the name of the butler.
Yes,
because I kind of like the Gatherer, and I also like Dampy.
Dampy. I was just thinking something like Rudy or
I don't like Rudy. Rudy's a bad name. Let's think of. I want it to be like
Terrence.
Yes.
Okay.
That is it. This is Terrence the butler.
Terrifying Terrence.
Ooh, now we've got a goosebumps on our hand. All right.
I'm doing a find and replace on butler.
The grim adventures of terrifying Terrence. So I was thinking, like, so one of my changes, like I said, I changed like how he appears, right? Like, you can tell it's a well-dressed man with some kind of item in his hand, depending on the situation, right? Like, sometimes he's got something long, sometimes he's got something short, sometimes he has nothing, and he's just lurking around. I feel like we could still make him like even as you become less insane and you can realize, oh, it's a person in a suit. I feel like we could still give him like a creepy gait, right? Like
sure, and
know,
like his weird detached demeanor because he's such a good butler, right?
Absolutely,
like, everything
absolutely.
He's all business all the time. There's no time for pleasantries
yep.
and personal whatever. So he's like he's like an uncanny valley of an individual. Like
absolutely.
he's a person, but he refuses to act like one. He's above all that. I'm Terrence.
I'm Terrence. I do not have the time to lollygag about. I feel like I kind of want to have it to be like a reward for bravery, right? So the idea is he's still the enemy of this game. If you get caught by him, you lose, right? So if you do end up going towards him, like either I feel like he's going to either like go away somehow. Like he knows all the like cracks and crevices and all the hidden doors of this mansion, so he can just sort of like open up. Like somehow he always escapes if you go towards him, because he doesn't want to bother you, right? He's got his own things to deal with, so you can never just go up and look at him. But at the same time, like he has to have a reason to attack you, right? The gatherers in the game they're not frequent.
No.
It almost seems scripted as to where they're going to come and where they're not going to, but I definitely know it's not. Like they do spawn, like they have a chance to spawn wherever it's dark, right? I think we just got really lucky in our playthrough because
we were pretty methodical about our placement of light sources.
That's also true. And then when they did come, it was well, it wasn't fun.
No,
a lot of being.
It was
trapped
fun
in dark
a different
corners.
way.
Yeah, right.
It's fun in retrospect.
So I feel like the way the gathers work is the more insane you go, the more likely they are to spawn. I feel like in this game, your insanity should only deal with like how you perceive him, right? Like he becomes more of a monster the more insane you go. I feel like the way you get him to spawn is by breaking shit.
Yes, that was a very central point in most of my notes as well.
It's the way I started my notes, and then I didn't realize until the end how like important of a concept it was.
Right. No, and so like to your point, like I don't think that you would be getting attacked. I think you would just be getting escorted from the premises.
That's so that okay, so I'll just cut to it. So the death scene, I feel like the way the gatherers work is they claw you, you bleed, and you fall over. I feel like
some would call that dying.
Someone would call that dying. I feel like the way you die in this game is, and I'll also kind of once again drawing inspiration from Alone in the Dark, is you get clubbed over the head, right? so you get clubbed over the head and then you fall, and then because my whole point is I keep trying to hide the fact that he is a butler, right? Like as much as you can. So then you just see these arms dragging from these arms from the shadows, dragging your body into the shadows, and then like you're escorted off the premises, or like I was thinking either you're escorted off the premises, or we just leave it to where you're dragged into the shadows, and you just sort of, until you figure out that it is a butler, like you just like, what happened? Did I die? Like, are they eating me? What will happen? So like, kind of leaving a little bit of mystery there, because I want to keep it subtle, right? Like,
sure.
The reason why this game is a good horror game is because it's subtle. Leaves, it's a lot of is up to your imagination. So I feel like the best death scene would be like, you get clubbed over the head, for all intensive cases, with a broom, and then you just see these arms pulling you into the shadows, and then gives you, you're dead, or
Terrence took out the trash.
Yeah, Terrence. Yes. Okay. So instead of like clues to help you, like beware of this, or make sure you watch your lighting, it'll just be like Terrence took out the trash,
or like etiquette tips. Like number 345, never put your elbows on the table when dining with a lady.
Oh my fucking yes. Like always remember your cutlery.
Make a D and a B with your hands to remember where they go.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I love it. Terrence is the best.
Yeah, Terrence is pretty good. I'm so glad his name's not Jeeves. So, okay, before, like, I want to see if this works, and if not, we can cut it. But, like, the when we first started talking about doing a butler, like, I just imagined, like, it's because every so often the game makes you do something really destructive, and it doesn't really do a great job of like reconciling that with what is supposed to be reality to your character. But whatever. At any rate, so I'm gonna unplug my headphones so my sound comes through my speakers. Can you say something real quick?
Yeah. Can
Okay, cool. I'm gonna raise my volume. So I just imagine like you do something really destructive, and then Terrence makes this like exclamation.
Oh my heavens, no!
Okay. So here's the thing, and this plays perfectly into that. So to make him more sorry, to make him creepier. Something I talked about was like, I want you hear him talk to himself.
Okay, yeah.
So you'll be so think about this. You're down a hallway and you're looking at stuff, and then you hear voices behind you. Not clear. You don't really know. You can't really gather what they're saying, but they do sound like they're coming down the hallway. And I feel like that would also be like a good, what do you call it? Telegraph. A good telegraph.
Oh,
of
sure.
Like, you're getting to you're breaking too many things. He's gonna start spawning, right? So, because they also, I didn't realize but they have that in the game as it is now, right? The gather, like you start hearing gather noises, the more insane you go. And then, like, eventually, it's just a good warning. Like, oh, hey, if you're not careful, it's going to be right around the corner.
Right.
So, like, I feel like that is freaking perfect. Where you just like, oh my heavens, no! Like, just down the hallway, or like, or like you hear like grumbling, like I can't believe this, like,
yeah, no, that'd be great.
That's freaking awesome. I'm so glad we're on the same page there. And I absolutely love that idea of, because we have to give him like like, you know what I mean? Like he's got to
be stuffy and he's got to be British. Absolutely. It's really just, I mean, there's no way around it.
Betsy. I absolutely love that idea. That's so funny. And like, I feel like it only goes better with the post-death text of him, like,
just like, God, that's the last sound you hear before you ostensibly die. It's like, oh my heavens, no!
Yep. Just thud. Oh my gosh.
So it just becomes the scariest sound you can possibly hear.
Absolutely. Like, that's just, I like that idea though, because like, I mean, like, of course we can put like creepy music with it too, but like the idea of like something so basic being like this harbinger of doom.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a nice way of really highlighting what this game does do well, which is like, I mean, these monsters, while terrifying looking, like you see them so rarely, it kind of doesn't matter. So for us to take them and replace them with a butler and still kind of have the same like agenda be achievable,
absolutely. Yeah,
is pretty remarkable on the behalf of the developer.
Yeah, no, it's very solid. It's a very solid game. So we got the idea of like, okay, so like he called, like, so we got the idea of him calling along the way, right? Like the farther he is. I also think it would be pretty creepy too. Like if he's close to you, you could hear whispers.
Oh,
I think so. Like you remember that moment where we're in the we're in a kitchen, the quote unquote kitchen, of the dungeon, right?
And there's just like a straight up person's voice, like something's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like, we were also like we were hiding, and like the monster was like right next to us, and we just could not figure out like how do we get out of the situation. And I feel like it'd be so great just to have like, I know you're here. You know what I mean? Like just like, no, thank you, I'm good. Like,
Yep.
Please go away, Terrence. I don't. And then like of course like his footsteps have to be like you can tell like he's wearing like, you know, like heeled dress shoes almost. You know, like wingtips.
You know, he's got
they got a good clop with
the
him.
coattails just flying behind him.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's why I like the shadowy like look of him, because like I like yeah, he's got coattails and he's, you know, he's wearing a tuxedo probably or some kind of suit.
Sure.
So
he's a fancy ass man.
Well, he's a butler. He's got to be.
Yeah.
I feel like too, like we could amp up the difficulty later. So the thing about the Gatherers is like they don't really change much. They're always there. I guess the farther you get, the more chances you have of running into them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when we're in the dungeon, it's basically the entire thing is dark. So like, yeah, like you have more chances to run into them, but it's always the same. You just run into a corner, hide, and then you're good. I feel like we could make, once we're down into the dungeons, we could make him more aggressive. Because, like, so something we kind of established earlier, and I feel like we should figure this out now, is he's not a bad guy, right?
No,
like,
he's just so concerned with the well-being of the household.
Yeah, of the
and
manor.
You are perceived as a foreign body that's come in to throw things into disarray and chaos.
Right, absolutely. So, like, I feel like once you, he follows you down the elevator and you know, into like the prison, and he realizes, oh, like you were a person who tortured people and shit like that. So now it goes from him just trying to like clean up after you to like him trying to arrest you. Yeah, I think he wants to arrest you, so he's a little more aggressive, and like instead of like carrying a broom around and stuff, he's got like handcuffs and whatever.
Oh, yeah, that works. That works well.
Yeah, because like I feel like the later part of this game, there's no like real difficulty, right? There are certain moments that are pure bullshit because of the way the game works, where it's just
the puzzles are esoteric and bullshitty, laden with bullshit.
Yes, laden with bullshit. Heard the puzzles. There's a lot of times where like it seems very arbitrary, right? A lot of the stuff that you have to go through.
Oh, you don't have to tell me, buddy.
Oh, I hear footsteps. Why do I hear footsteps? Cameron, why do I hear footsteps?
I hung out in this room for like 15 minutes, and I can guarantee you there's nothing in here.
You dumbo.
You're supposed to put it up?
Uh-huh.
It was up when I got there. That locked.
Yeah, you just had to hold it up for a second, and then you could hear it cranking. Was all.
I'm sorry, I have to call bullshit on that.
How's that bullshit?
It was up when I got there. So I thought, okay, I pushed it down. Nothing happened.
I think you're remembering it wrong. Because I literally just went in.
That doesn't sound like me. Jeremy.
I thought I was like grabbing but I'm dipping my hands in the water.
Hey, make sure you grab it and then move, because apparently only idiots don't do that.
I'm dipping my hand in the water. Can't you see the ripples from my hand?
I meant with the statue.
You can't grab that statue.
Oh. But you can put your hand in the water.
I can put my hand in the water.
But like you're still moving the mouse. Like point at it and just click right click. Okay. This game, it's tearing us apart. I've seen that work.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware. But I feel like without outside of that, though, there's no real like amp and difficulty. So I think we could, by making him a little more aggressive, it would be more fun. Like, now the like stakes are fucking real, right? Like you have to prepare your butthole for him running after you. And then I do want to get back to, I did skip over something thinking about it. So speaking of these esoteric puzzles, I feel like a lot of it, because like a lot of it is like handyman work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I feel like, so what you would do is like, for example, the elevator puzzle where you have to go and collect the things and then you put them in yourself. I feel like you would go and collect the things and then you put them on the table and be like, oh, you're missing this one piece. And you're like, oh crap, I need to go back and find it. So you put what you have on the table and then you go back looking for that one piece that doesn't actually exist. And then by the time you come back, it's all put together. Because that's what the butler does. He's also a handyman, so he just rolls up his sleeves and he's like, "Oh, well, I'll fix it for you."
That works well, especially with what my sort of take on that was. I guess like the way I put things together didn't necessarily affect the like existing puzzles, but I like your take on the existing puzzles. My sort of addition would be that, and this goes into just like a lot of the puzzles, quote unquote, are the, I don't want to say lazy because it's a valid type, but like there's a locked door and you need a key for it. But I think in this game, like, I don't think the doors would be locked. I think you would just be politely reminded by Terrence that like, you shouldn't be going in there. It's not keeping with proper etiquette, And so for whatever contrived reason, your character then would not be able to enter the room. So I think there would be a category of puzzle where you would have to make like a Rube Goldberg machine style of mess that's going to tie Terrence up for like a couple minutes so you could go through the door without him noticing.
That actually plays really freaking well into my ending scenario. So we're gonna pin that in the corner there.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so just to expound on that a little bit, like part of the creepiness would be like, I think I made a mess over there, but that looks great, right? Like Terrence works fast, and you never see him because he is such a good butler. Like that's paramount, man. He's got to be a good butler. There's nothing interesting about a half-assed slack butler who doesn't do his job correctly.
I like that. I like the idea of, so that's a very labyrinthian kind of mechanic, right? Mm-hmm. The idea of like something looks one way, you turn around, and then you turn back, and it looks different.
Yeah, well, that's the best jumps in BioShock, where you look over and do something. The game purposely draws your attention into some corner, and you turn back around, and things are different. But
no, absolutely.
To that end, like that's why it would have to be sort of a Rube Goldberg machine. It would have to take a certain amount of time to make the mess in stages, because otherwise Terrence would just have, like, if you just made a big mess, like, he's a pro. He's so good. He's going to have it cleaned up, and he's going to catch you. So if you have it, like, so it like, meters out its mess over the course of time, it will, by virtue of that fact, take him longer to clean it up.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I think that's genius. And then, you have to sort of, you have to make the mess. Well, you have to make a relative mess, right? Like, I don't want you. So the way it comes down, what it comes down to is like, eventually, I do want it to be known that this is Terrence the butler, right? Mm-hmm. I want to try to hide his identity through the game as much as possible until we get to like the Agrippa part. Once you get down to the lowest part of the dungeon where you meet Agrippa, I feel like then you would finally come up against Terrence, that you finally meet. Yes, in the flesh, and like you actually exchange words with him. Because I don't remember that part too well. Once you get to like the Agrippa part, like a lot of it is just like, this is where you're learning that you tortured people. This is where you're learning like all of the mechanisms you used to do these horrible, terrifying things. A lot of it, I don't remember. I feel like the scare came from the environment and not so much like the monsters, right? I don't remember there being really big threats. So I feel like during this part of the playthrough, like Terrence wouldn't have to be a big deal, right?
Sure. And that's pretty funny too, because if we keep, I know, like, we never got to the Agrippa part, and there were plenty of parts that were what caused me to think of oh my heavens, no!
Yeah.
So the players left to be very confused as to why that keeps happening. Right, so, oh my heavens, no! Thud, It's
right.
Why was it
no
that?
Idea.
Why was that the sound effect?
And I love it until finally you come face to face, like, oh, it all like start clicks.
Yeah, I like it and I don't. I mean, again, like, we don't, our two versions don't necessarily have to like mesh 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
I think like I think if we keep both things, right, like waiting to find out what Terrence is and also having him like admonish you throughout the game, like I think it sort of gets too close to the lol so random territory. And
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but also, I mean, lol. Right, like, cause I like the idea of what makes the Gatherers so terrifying is because you don't know what they are, and you spend so much time running away from them. You rarely get a good look at one. I mean, do you remember what they look like? I mean, I do because I played this game before, and there's a lot of times where like I had to stare one down in the face as it mauled me to death.
I do from the very end when we died. We were laying on the ground, and you could see it just standing there, staring off vacantly. Yeah,
like I mean, like. It's cool that you really don't know what's coming after you. All you know is that like you have a basic shape in your mind and you know to avoid it. I feel like that's very important to the fear factor here. And I like the idea of like you can figure out that this is a man in a suit. And you can sort of figure out like, oh yeah, this is like he's telling me not to and what to do. So like maybe he's a super of the premises or something like that, right? Like or he's a caretaker or whatever. Like you can put things together, but like
he's the butler of unusual competence. He can just do whatever he's needed to do.
Exactly. So, but then at the end, you finally get like a name and like not just a name, but like also a face and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that would be super important, if not like rewarding to be like, oh yeah, you made it this far. Like here's your attacker, right? Like
he's super dapper.
He's the most dapper. And then I think that would lead, after the Agrippa part, that sort of leads me to the end. So do you have anything, before I get to the heaviest of spoilers?
So just a few points. Like, I think, like, one thing that would stand out in the mind of anyone who's played this game is that you frequently have to hide in wardrobes. But I think if your pursuer is a butler, that's probably, like, among the top 3 worst places to hide. Because he's going to be like, oh no, master has left a shirt on the ground. And then he's going to open the wardrobe and see you and then club you over the head.
Right. So, that adds a whole new kind of like, so like you can hide in certain areas, but you also have to make sure there's like nothing around to warrant him to look into that area as well.
Right.
You know, like, so like in this game, if you make
you have to be the butler in certain rooms that you walk in.
Yeah, exactly.
And right. Like
up. If you want to hide beneath the bed, you have to make sure that there's nothing sticking out from under the bed, right? Like or that the floor isn't dusty. Mm-hmm. You have to be aware of your surroundings, sort of.
So actually, because our 2 versions divert quite a little bit. I do have a number of points that sort of went unaddressed. So maybe I can just roll through those real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I don't really have anything for the ending, and I definitely want to let you get to that. But also, like, you know, just to provide my sort of side of things. So
sure, go for it.
So if we like rewind somewhat, like, so I like the idea of smushing our versions together, but just in full disclosure, like when I was writing my stuff down, it was like I didn't really need it to be this like dark brooding force or this like I just wasn't as big on like the spookiness.
Sure, no, you're having fun with it.
Yeah, so that's just I guess my style, but
hey, it's fine.
So so the first was like hiding in the closets all of a sudden is the worst place to hide. Mm-hmm. I think you would get like a greeting when you walked into the castle, like "Welcome, master. Please make yourself at home," you know, and like so that would sort of give you an idea that like, oh, there's this like creepy British man,
right?
And so like because he's such a good butler, the challenge would be to try to see him rather than to avoid doing so, because of course you're not going to see him under normal circumstances. Like that's what he's all about. So you, instead of like losing sanity and being rewarded for not looking at the monster, rather you would gain, I don't know, prestige or laugh at him or something.
Ooh, nice.
Because you managed to catch him out.
Right.
So yeah, and then things would be inexplicably clean moments after they were destroyed. All the notes would be found in 3-ring binders with those tabs sticking out of the side instead of just strewn about the castle.
3-ring binders in 1893. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That creep ass fountain would never have had a body in it. Like Terrence would have been on that. Like you would not have had a chance to see that.
I feel like so it would have the body, but then like you walk
The
away.
body would be impeccably dressed.
Oh my gosh. Like, so you turn around, you see the body, you look at it, you're like, oh, and then you walk away, and then when you come back to it, the body is like well dressed and like properly sat up. Actually, that would be great because that was a thing in the 1800s. They used to
They
take pictures of the dead.
Yep.
Oh, that's creepy and awesome at the same time. And goes with like the little historical allegories that they throw in here.
And also the fact that he's so detached from everything, like he's such in the pursuit of being a good butler that he will handle a dead body and make it look nice if it means that like it improves the decor. Oh
yeah, I mean he is a butler of this haunted mansion. I'm like maybe the torturing he's not down with, but like he knows that like he's not afraid to touch a dead body, you know.
Right.
Like, he's got to do what he's got to do.
Doesn't care. Like maybe it just doesn't even enter into his head that we're getting a little deep
like,
here, but like he just does it because he's supposed to do. Yeah, exactly. So, I still think there would be scares from Terrence, but it would be very polite. Like it'd be like you haven't seen him for 25 minutes and like you've gone through like 3 or 4 rooms and totally messed them up, like looking for tinder boxes or trying to solve puzzles or whatever. And then all of a sudden you just hear, "Excuse me, sir." And then he'd jump in front of you. Like your whole screen would just become his face. And you'd get scared, but he would be like, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
That's your death scene is actually when he pops up and like it just throws you off guard and you have a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still like pretty creepy. It's just not necessarily like ominous.
I would say that is a lot less creepy.
Of course. Well, especially since you're not getting clubbed over the head and dragged into the shadows. You're right. It's close. It's close, but... So, when I was envisioning Terrence, and this is my last point, and then I'll let you get to your ending. Do you remember the teacher's cabana from Wind Waker? There was the butler who was a creepy painting.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what I imagined our Terrence looking like.
Okay, that's pretty good. I like that.
Because that butler was super creepy. Like,
no, he
looked creepy.
Absolutely.
He was a painting. There were zombies in the basement.
I'm glad you brought that up because, funny enough, I mentioned it earlier, but this whole time I've been thinking of I've been thinking of Dampy, the gravedigger.
Yeah.
From Ocarina of Time. I've been thinking of him, but like in a tuxedo.
I feel like if it was Dampy, though, like Dampy has to have kind of a doofy voice. There's just, I guess he doesn't have to, but I just always, it seems like that's what they were going for with him.
Oh yeah, he's a hunchback, right?
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, master, come."
My mind just immediately went to like the snorkel voice.
Snorkel?
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Dude,
snorkel.
Did you just?
That was an. I can't even say it. I'm laughing so fucking hard. Listen.
Go listen to Pretend Friends. It's really good.
Oh, for real. All 3 of you who listen to this, who probably also listen to Pretend Friends, listen to Pretend Friends.
Yeah. So that's sort of the end of my like Back to the Future alternate timeline of Terrence.
I like it. It's a lighthearted Terrence.
Yeah.
All right. So, the way I was looking at it is like once you get like a face and a name and stuff after Agrippa, like that's when shit hits the fan, where you learn about like alternate beings and like dimensions and stuff. So he probably wouldn't want much to do with that. And then we get to the ending where you have multiple endings, and instead of doing the basic 3, I think we'll have like 2.
Okay.
And it all depends on how much you broke. So the bad ending is you broke a ton of shit. You were just throwing busts or like
wanton disregard for this manor its inhabitants.
Absolutely. So so during the Agrippa scene, he complains about all the mess you left behind, and then he leaves to clean it. So he's just gone, and then you go into the room, and then the portal happens, and then you all die to the shadow. And the good ending, if you didn't break anything that like. You didn't break a lot, right? Like let's assume like we'll set the game up so like all the things that you had to break, like you had to break them, so it won't be considered. But if you're just throwing like the paintings and like vases to the ground for no reason, right? If you didn't break a lot of stuff, then he doesn't have to spend time cleaning it, right? So while you go into the room and then he comes in, like, while you're waiting for the portal to open up, he comes in sweeping, like, geez, I wonder, the master's been so messy lately. And then he accidentally knocks over the pylon while sweeping. And then it causes, like, a chain reaction that causes the portal to lose. And then Alexander gets eaten by the shadow. So that's, I feel like the good ending is you didn't break that too much stuff. And then the bad ending is you're just breaking wanton destruction, too much of it.
So the good ending is a good man doing his job well, and the little guy saving the universe.
Yep, exactly.
Just by like being in his place, just by performing his role in society. That's pretty poetic, actually.
I feel, yeah, right.
There's not enough of that, right? Like everything is all about like rising to the extraordinary, but like there's something just like the subversive, like the weird, for lack of a better term, side of me really likes to see like the butler won because he was a good butler. So which isn't to say that will always be the case, because if he's being a good butler and you're just an asshole and mess up his place, like by being a good butler he does not save the universe, but still.
Right. I mean, yeah, it is what it is, right? Like how's that saying go? Like never underestimate the power of the meek, or whatever.
I just like the meek will inherit the earth is the one I always hear.
Yeah, that's another one too. Yeah, it's a nice little humble ending.
Yeah.
Where
see,
Terrence
the one you're referring to reminds me of like never underestimate the power of like disgruntled women in large numbers or something.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not a.
No. It's maybe it's not disgruntled. I think I'm mixing that up with like well-behaved women never make history or something. Sorry, I'm not trying to be like.
That's
pig.
a good one. No, that's a good saying.
I think I mixed that up. I think the other one is like never underestimate the power of like there's large numbers of people with an idea or something. I don't know. I could look it up, but I'm not gonna. It's more fun to listen to me flounder. Whatever. I guarantee it.
This podcast's over. No, even bother. But yeah, that's all I got for it. I believe I am spent.
Yes, me too.
Somewhere in Prussia, a man sleeps.
Elsewhere in Prussia, a man cleans.
To organize your mind, you'll have to clutter his castle.
And he's none too pleased about it.
You're not safe in the hallways.
You're not safe in the closets.
This Ex-Spook-aganza.
Terrifying Terrence stars in.
Amnesia. Decent dandy.
Oh my heavens, no!
That was a lot of fun, actually. I really thought, I wasn't sure because for being, all about Halloween and stuff, if being more lighthearted with it would be as entertaining as it was. And it was good. I really like the idea of taking this game that is absolutely just horrifying and just putting this lighthearted spin on it.
Yeah, well, the game gives you almost nothing to latch onto for warmth. I mean, I guess you get to the good memories. But
I just pictured so there's a psychological experiment where they took monkeys, baby monkeys, and then they had a mother made of wire and a mother made of cloth. And the babies would all go to the one with the made of cloth, even if the one of wire had food, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought of that experiment, but with this game in its jewel case. It's just one where it's wrapped in barbed wire, and then one where it's wrapped in a blanket. I don't know why that image came into my head, but that is how this game feels. This game, it definitely wants you to feel...
It's a wire monkey, Mom.
Dude, for real. It's a rough
The
go. The end. And that's all, folks. I will say though, this game is definitely. I'm glad that we got to play it. I'm glad you got to play it. I got to experience it since you never have before.
And I honestly wouldn't have. I'm not a super huge fan of just horror for its own sake.
Sure.
And I certainly wouldn't have played it by myself. If you had been like, we're doing this episode for the podcast, you need to go play the game, I'd be like, oh, I fell dead the day I was supposed to play.
I could not. I lost my eyes in a boating accident. I cannot.
It just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever as a solo activity. But
sure,
as a friendly thing, it was a lot more fun.
No, and I will definitely say it's a whole different experience playing games like this with like a person, right? Like we were definitely there like to laugh at each other, which made it all so much more enjoyable and less shit yourself scary.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I remember, like, one of the things I was reading after we played the game was that the water part with that invisible monster was supposed to be, like, the scariest part. And I was zero scared during that part.
Dude, me neither. I
didn't find that terrifying or anything.
But I will say, like, yeah, when I first played it, though, it was, like, because it seems so much more subtle, and it's, like, it's just you and your wits, and, like, you don't know what's going on. And it really, like... Yeah, like after you die the first 3 times, like you get over it. But I mean, like for the most part, like yeah, it was. I remember it being like truly terrifying. And then this time around, maybe because I had already experienced it and I knew it was coming. But then on top of that, like even parts where like there's a real threat, not to us, not to our bodies, but you know, to us winning the game, right? There's a threat you're gonna lose. Even with that and this thing running us down, like it didn't seem like there was no real fear there. Even when, like, we were about to lose the game, it was like, you know, like, just laughing with my buddy.
Right.
And looking for stupid Tinder boxes.
Yeah, right. And singing all the while.
There was, yeah.
That's not the right song. That's Sunshine of Your Love. I can never get that one right, because it sounds like every other fucking song from the 60s.
What song we... Oh, that's what broke.
Oh.
Yes,
that's it. I think I can be forgiven. Like them. Gonna be a pulling up a guide.
Yeah.
We can't find how to get through this room.
I'm not the room. They think I roomed that room.
Oh, room.
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
And I think there's gonna be a long, long time till aliens come down and bring me up.
Okay. I'm not the band they think I am at home. Oh, no. I'm a rocket band. Rocket band.
Kind of terrified, please don't die. Dip my fat toe in the water. Dip it in the water.
I don't like that imagery at all.
It's getting hotter. It's so hot. It was good times. Good spooky times to be had. Yes, quite. And thank you guys for spending these spooky times with us. We've got more spooks on the way.
Thank you.
Hope you're all excited for that.
Yes, thanks for joining us on the Ex-Spook-aganza.
The Ex-Spook-aganza. Bits, chips, and flip scripts Ex-Spook-aganza. Because nothing in our title can be easy to say. And isn't that the most frightening thing of all? Thank you guys for listening. We've been your hosts. I'm Bam.
I'm Cam.
And remember, the smallest act can make for the biggest changes. See you next time, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you all so much for listening. For updates on future episodes, you can follow us on Twitter at BC&FS. Again, that's BCANDFS. If you have some fun ideas of a game to change, please feel free to email us at bcandfs@gmail.com. We want to give a special thanks to Melman for letting us use his song Flowers for the intro. It's a fantastic piece, and you can find more fantastic work like it at melman.org. Again, that's MALMEN.org. Thanks for listening.
Throw baby. Cool, physics puzzles.
Yeah.
Spatial reasoning. Throw baby!
Throw baby.
You gotta throw a baby at it. Oh, the object has to be thrown at it says. So you have to deposit it next to the rubble and then pick it up and throw it, I think? Like a baby?
Throw baby!